Hello and welcome to my review of Dexter New Blood episode 6, titled Too Many Tuna Sandwiches. That is an interesting title. I am Jacob Bartley, your host for this Talking Dex episode. Let me adjust the lighting really quick. Here we go. Meant to put on that lighting. How's it going? Welcome in to Talking Dex with Jacob Bartley. Again, like I said, this is a spoiler review for Dexter New Blood episode 6. We're going to get into all the details, all the specifics here, and we're going to talk about it. I tweeted about 5 minutes ago that this is the best episode yet, and I'm pretty firm in that belief. So up until this point, the premiere had been my favorite episode, but I think that's because it's the premiere, but also it kind of delivered on its own. Like if you only showed us the premiere, it would have been satisfying it on its own. It kind of felt like its own little movie and a little treat for Dexter fans. It had everything, right? It had the kill room. He had a kill. It was all that. And then every episode, since then has been part of a season. And not that the first one wasn't, but the first one was very satisfying. The other one felt like pieces to a puzzle. And the first one is a major piece to that puzzle. But this episode is right on par with the premiere, if not better. It is so intense. So many things happen. And it really keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire time, especially once the end starts revving up. And we have a couple commenters in the chat. Let's go to that real quick. We have RD Films here. What is up? I'm here early and feel good because of it. Thank you for stopping by, RD. Truly appreciate your support. We also have Star Drew in the chat. Did you had excitement more of episode 4, 5 more? Yeah, so 4 and 5 were good. I liked 5 a lot. I probably liked 5 more than 4, just because there was some big stuff that went down with Harrison, and obviously they had the return of Angel Batista from the original series, and we had the reveal that Angela knows who Dexter is. So there was some big stuff going on in episode 5. So I liked episode 5 more than 4, but episode 6 is crazy good. And I do want to apologize for the mess over here. I have some collectibles that I just opened this weekend. I haven't quite unpacked them yet. So just figured I'd just leave them there. No big deal. But yes, wow. Where do we even begin with this episode? Again, interesting title. I haven't loved all the titles so far, honestly. I like Cold Snap. I thought that was a good. It's just a cool title for the first episode. I didn't like the Storm of F title. I didn't really. Smoke Signals is very like on the nose for the episode and very generic. H is for Hero is kind of on the nose for me. Runaway is a good title. Fit that episode 5 perfectly. Too Many Tuna Sandwiches. Now look, Too Many Tuna Sandwiches is something that he references in the episode. When he's tracking down Kirk Caldwell, and he says, my instincts have been off, but I'm pretty sure this guy's a killer. And he says, yeah, too many tuna sandwiches or whatever. But earlier in the episode, when he goes to the restaurant, he always orders a tuna sandwich at the restaurant. When he goes to the restaurant, he says, I heard too many tuna sandwiches are bad for you. Let me get a pastrami sandwich. So I think the writers and the writing team, I've listened to their podcast, and it seems like, they try to come up with a clever title, like something that he says in the episode, which is cool. But I think there could have been a better title for this, because Too Many Tuna Sandwiches, okay, maybe references how rusty Dexter is, and maybe he hasn't been as healthy as he should have been, or as sharp as he could be. But there's a lot of other stuff going on in this episode that they can reference. Star Drew asks, what is the X factor for today, Jacob? Wow, the X factor for today. That is a good question. The X factor for this episode, oh man, here, I'll get into it, but there's so much that goes on. I mean, it has to be basically Kirk Caldwell, played by Clancy Brown. See him right here. His son has gone missing, and we know Dexter killed him in episode 1, but his son was a terrible human being who killed innocent people. So he fit Dexter's code. And now that his son's missing, he basically threw the cops off the trail because he doesn't want them to find his hidden cabin. So he told the cops his son's still alive so they can call off the search. And in the meantime, he's been talking to Harrison a lot. He bought Harrison a drone, and Harrison is Dexter's son, for those who don't know. He bought Harrison a drone. He convinced Harrison not to leave town and to stay in Iron Lake. He convinced Harrison to do something nice for his dad, which you see him doing the chores at the beginning of the episode. He offered Harrison a job at the restaurant and is supporting Harrison at the wrestling match. So I don't know if Kirk Caldwell is just, he doesn't have his son, so he's using Harrison to fill that role in his life at the moment, or if Kurt knows that Dexter had something to do with his son missing, or suspects that he had something to do with his son missing, and is toying with Dexter in this way, kind of taking his son under his wing, knowing that they're having trouble connecting and kind of stepping in and causing a problem for Dexter. But if Jim Lindsay, aka Dexter Morgan, wasn't Kirk Caldwell's enemy before this episode, he definitely is his enemy now. A few reasons why. And I'm gonna talk about the most important things. Maybe I'll jump all over the place. But one of the most intense moments in this episode, Molly Park, played by Jamie Chung, is a podcaster from LA who traveled to Iron Lake because she heard about the Kirk Caldwell or the Matt Caldwell case, and so she's been here. I and other people have speculated, because this podcaster, Molly Park, did episodes on the killer who killed Dexter's wife and Harrison's mom in season 4 of Dexter, the Trinity Killer. She did an episode on the Bay Harbor Butcher, which we hear pieces of in this episode. The Bay Harbor Butcher was made out to be another cop who his name was Dokes, who that wasn't really him. Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher, and he was never caught. In Molly's podcast, she says, if I'm right, Dokes wasn't the Bay Harbor Butcher. The Bay Harbor Butcher's still out there, and I want to find out who he is. So we've speculated that Molly knows who Dexter is. So there's that, right? So Dexter's like, oh, okay, Angela knows that I'm Dexter Morgan now. How does she know? So he starts listening to Molly's podcast, and it's pretty clear that it's a possibility that Molly knows who Dexter is, right? So he's like, oh no, I got to take care of this. So anyways, he goes to the restaurant, Kurt's restaurant, where Molly is. Kurt's there talking to Molly, and Dexter walks up, says hi. He does something over the counter. I didn't realize this, but he plugged his phone in to charge and left his phone there with record on. So he was recording their audio conversation. and he goes to eat at a different table. Molly and Kurt get up to leave, and they go to his cabin where he's been killing innocent girls, trapping them, scaring them, releasing them, making them think that they got away, and ultimately snipering them down. Last week, his kill got ruined because the girl tried to rush him and he shot her in the face. So he's doing something weird. He's making dolls with these girls or something. And because last week his kill was interrupted, his kill was ruined because he wants to preserve their face. He had to shoot her in the face because she was rushing at him. He's hungry for he has to kill another girl. So we see him earlier at the truck stop trying to lure this young girl in. Turns out her boyfriend was there. They leave. So now that Molly is investigating Kurt and telling him, hey, your son is not alive. Your son's not in New York. Kurt is now, has them on his trail, and Kurt needs another kill. So he lures Molly to his cabin, lying to her, saying that his son's there when we all know his son's dead. And this is a long-winded answer to your question, Star Drew. What is the X factor for today? This scene that I'm leading up to is the X factor for today. So he takes her to the cabin, and look, Jamie Chung playing Molly Park has been a huge part of this season so far. She seems like she's going to continue to be a huge part. So I was like, oh my goodness, are they going to kill Molly Park? Is Kirk Caldwell, who I'm calling the runaway killer before they do, they're going to call him the runaway killer. The runaway killer has Molly Park in his cabin, but who's not far behind them in the road, listening to their conversation that they just had, is Dexter. And he hears their conversation of Kurt lying and saying, hey, oh yeah, my son's just, he's hiding in my cabin that's off the grid. I can take you there if you want to interview him. But really, it's a lie so he can kill Molly Park. So Dexter hears this and he's like, oh my goodness, I know Kurt is dead. I killed him. So he shows up. Dexter's there. He sees Kurt lure Molly into the cabin. So if you're following what I'm saying, Molly Park, a podcaster, might know who Dexter is and might be a huge threat to Dexter because she thinks he's the Bay Harbor Butcher and could take him down. That's what Dexter thinks. So he could let Kurt kill Molly, right? And then that would be a convenience for him. But no, what do we learn about Dexter? He is not cool with innocent people dying. He is not cool with people who don't deserve to die dying. So instead of walking away and letting the Molly problem get taken care of, Dexter comes in and interrupts Kurt trying to kill Molly. So basically, Molly looks scared. Kurt's like, oh yeah, Matt's right in here. Dexter opens up the stairwell, the little latch thing. And he's like, oh, hey, I thought, maybe there were some high school kids trying to sneak into this cabin and party. Everything okay here? And sigh of relief, because not that I attached to the Molly character, but you don't want an innocent character to die, and I didn't want Kirk Caldwell to kill Molly. And honestly, I talked about Molly the last few episodes. I really liked her in episode 4. Thought she was a little annoying in episode 5, but she was actually pretty good in this episode. They toned her down a little bit. She's a key character, and I didn't want to see. And I think the podcasting element is very fun, and that a true crime podcaster is here and possibly investigating Dexter. I think that element is so cool. So I didn't want to see that go away yet. And Dexter saves her, which is awesome. And that does a few things. So first of all, he walks in the cabin. He's all, oh, you said Matt was here, right? Let's go. He opens the cabin. He's looking around. He sees that it's basically a trap, like a literal trap, a part little room thing, and it has a camera. It has it locks from the outside. And yeah, so Dexter basically is confirming in his head, oh my goodness, Kurt is a killer. So now that's putting, and Dexter knows all these missing runaways, missing girls have been disappearing from the town over the years. And now Dexter knows who it is. First of all, just that Dexter finding out that Kirk Caldwell is the runaway killer is huge. On top of that, seeing him disrupt Kurt thought he had a kill on his hands. And Dexter comes in and interrupts it. And we know Kurt is pissed off inside, but he has to play it along like, oh yeah, nothing's wrong. How you doing, Jim? Thanks for stopping by. And we see Dexter investigating his cabin, and Kurt's just so upset. It was great. It was great. So that was fantastic. That scene had me on the edge of my seat. Really, really, really done well. One of the major things, last episode, Angela found out that Jim Lindsay is not Jim Lindsay, it's Dexter Morgan. And this is that she thought Jim Lindsay was Jim Lindsay, that it was her boyfriend, this guy, maybe has a mysterious past. His son came out of nowhere, but it's Jim Lindsay. Nope, it's Dexter Morgan. We've known since episode 1 or 2 that Angela, the chief of police and Dexter's girlfriend, had a friend or somebody who meant a lot to her named Iris disappear a while ago. So once Kurt told her, oh, my son's alive, don't worry about it, you can stop the search, she got suspicious. She finds out he was never in a hotel in New York and starts investigating. Okay, Kurt, what are you hiding? And he stopped the investigation right before they were about to go searching through these caves. She takes another cop with her. They go through the caves. They find a dead body in there covered with rocks. And she finds a bracelet on the arm and confirming that it was her friend Iris. So earlier in the episode, she confronts Dexter, and Dexter tells her, look, my wife died. My sister died. I didn't want to be around all that death. So I drove my boat into a storm. Somehow I survived, and I continued life as Jim Lindsay after that. Left my son with my ex-girlfriend. So she's like, okay, you're still an asshole for lying to me. So after Angela finds this dead body, she's trying to call Dexter. He answers. He's like, hey, what's up? And she's like, I don't need Jim Lindsay. I need Dexter Morgan. And the episode ends. And it's like, oh my goodness. So that's exciting. So we're going to see Dexter go use his forensic scientist abilities to go check out Iris's body and see what happened there. But to me, I'm a little thrown off because we assumed that Iris was one of the missing girls that the runaway killer killed. Kirk Caldwell, played by Clancy Brown. We assumed that she was one of his victims. But we've seen him. He kills the girls. He takes their bodies. He empties the blood out of their bodies and embalms them. Does something with them. Keeps them as trophies or whatever. If she was one of his victims, she wouldn't be in the middle of a cave covered in rocks. So she was maybe exploring and got lost or something, or there's something else going on. Like another killer, or it was either an accident or it's something else unrelated to Kurt, or maybe Matt did it a while ago. who knows? I'm kind of glad they'd have this, because if she found Iris to be one of Kurt's victims, then that kind of shrinks the show, right? It's like it's all about Kurt. Now they added this interesting element, like what happened to Iris. Now there could be, it expands the show. Is there another killer out there? Was this an accident? So that, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. As you can see, like I said, maybe there throughout the series, there's been one or two like big reveals, big major things that happen in each episode. This had like 5 major things that happen in this episode. One of them being Harrison, Dexter's son. He basically, it's basically confirmed that has a dark passenger, which is this inner urge that Dexter has to hurt people, to kill people. But instead, Dexter has, controlled that energy and aimed it at only bad guys and killers. So, long story short, Harrison and Dexter, they go to therapy. Harrison explains what happened to him, how he was abandoned by his dad, his stepmother died, he was in foster care, then he was like homeless, and then he went searching for his dad. And he feels abandoned. And it's revealed in this session that Harrison knows that his mom was killed by a serial killer, but he says he doesn't remember it. He only knows what he's heard online and stuff. So after this, Harrison sneaks into Audrey's room. Audrey is Angela's daughter. That's not Audrey, that's Angela. And they talk. He tells her that I feel like hurting people all the time. And he says, I feel like hurting everybody all the time. I'm so angry. And that has to be his dark passenger, that, which was conceived from the trauma that he faced from watching his mother be killed by a serial killer when he was a baby. And even though he doesn't necessarily remember it visually, the trauma that he experiences from that event can still exist inside him. So, in my opinion, this is confirmation that Harrison has some sort of dark passenger inside of him, this urge to kill, but I don't think he knows it yet. There was speculation that Harrison is aware of his dark passenger and he's been killing for a while. He said he attacked somebody who tried to touch him when he was sleeping, when he was homeless. But hey, who wouldn't attack somebody who tried to touch you while you were sleeping when you were homeless, So like, I think he doesn't know that he has a dark passenger yet, and he's figuring it out, and it's kind of emerging. So that was huge. Another huge thing we got to talk about is the wrestling match. So Harrison joins the wrestling team, and the episode basically ends with his wrestling match. They're at the match. Dexter's there in the stands watching. Kirk Caldwell shows up after all this drama that happened. This is after Dexter stopped him from killing Molly. Kirk Caldwell shows up. He's all hanging out with the coaches, talking to Harrison. And he basically tells Harrison, like, mess this guy up. You got it. You got it. So Harrison starts fighting this state champion or whatever, doing pretty good against him. Harrison has him pinned, and he's tapping. And there's kind of Harrison has like a pause, and Harrison breaks his arm. Everybody starts freaking out. Like, what the hell are you doing? The other team rushes on the floor. Clancy Brown, Kirk Caldwell, is hugging Harrison, saying, you did a good job. You did a good job, boy. Dexter runs down the stairs, pushes Kurt off, like, cool it. Like, stop smothering my son. And then Logan, the cop, tells him to leave. Get out of here. That's when he's trying to talk to Harrison, and Angela calls him to to ask for his help. Yeah, this is a crazy episode. Like this has got to be, you know, I think this is the best episode because there's no wasted screen time. Not that the other episodes had wasted screen time, but I didn't feel like every scene was important. I think maybe there's been a lot of scenes dedicated to building up the town and the people and showing us what Iron Lake is like. And that's cool because it's created this environment and makes the town feel real, which is cool. But now that we already have all that established, everything's been established at this point, by episode 5. Now you can just go full force and tell the story. And I just think that's where they are now. That is crazy. So, what are our biggest questions going into episode 7? Oh my goodness. I can't believe we're this far in. It's going by way too fast. I really hope they do more Dexter after this season. I really do. But our biggest questions are, how is Kirk going to handle suddenly? He definitely can't avoid Jim Lindsay anymore. He can't avoid Dexter. He interrupted him killing Molly, which, come on now. Kurt knows that was fishy, right? He is getting angry at Kurt for nurturing his son. So they got beef. Whether it's Dexter Morgan having beef with the runaway killer, or just Jim Lindsay, the dad, having beef with Kirk Caldwell, the restaurant owner / dad, rich guy. They got beef, and it's going down either way. Either way, it's going down, and I'm excited about that. What is going to happen with Angela and with the Iris situation and Dexter helping her? I predicted earlier this season. I said, look, once we knew Angela knew, I was like, look, she's going to try to use Dexter's expertise as a blood spatter analyst, a forensic scientist, to help solve the missing girls case. And that's basically what's going on. She found Iris's body, and now she's having Dexter help her. So what's going to happen with that? Is Iris a victim of Kirk Caldwell, or is it another random killing? Is there another killer in town? We'll see. I have a feeling we're going to get more Dexter after this, honestly. Because how are they going to wrap up this story with Harrison and Dexter in 4 more episodes? There's no way. And they're focused so much on Harrison that they're going to continue this show. I think so, at least, because there's so much more story to tell. What happens when Harrison's 22 and we basically going to get young Dexter with Dexter training him and all that. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's going to be crazy to see. And look, I want Dexter and Harrison to get to a point where they're cool. They're like, Harrison's always mad at him. I want them to be good and on the same side. And I want them to talk openly about them being killed, like Dexter being a killer and Harrison having the urge to kill. Yeah, so that's interesting. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this review of. I see your comment, Star Drew. That could be interesting. I could see him doing that, trying to maybe frame the runaway killer, but we'll see. I think instead what Dexter does is, once he knows there's a killer out there, he takes him out. So I think Dexter's going to try to find a way to take him out without getting caught. So we'll see. But that's going to do it for this episode of Talking Dex with Jacob Bartley. That was our review for Dexter New Blood episode 6, too many tuna sandwiches. I know that was a little all over the place, but I wanted to talk about the major points. Let me know in the comment section. Did you like this episode? Was it your favorite like it was mine? Do you think they could have done anything better? What are you looking forward to next episode? What are your biggest questions? Thank you, RD Films, for stopping by. Thank you, Star Drew. I appreciate it. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Jacob Bartley824 for all my thoughts on movies, film, and especially Dexter stuff. But also subscribe to this Bartley and Barnes YouTube channel. This is where I'll be covering all Dexter stuff, as well as movie reviews, our monthly movie show with me and Keith Barnes. Subscribe if you're all in for all that. Thank you again. I'll see you guys next time.